friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. So today we're doing a video I love doing. I've been waiting to do this for a while, but it never seemed like a good time. Seems like now. Okay, we're doing a yes or pass. Sorry, I have to say them so they sound like they rhyme. Yass or pass? I'm sorry, I'm sticking with it. So today we are going to be just talking about new makeup releases. I kind of wanted to wait until the tsunami of summer releases actually passed, and then I decided I was going to talk about this and just kind of give you guys my overall opinions on all of the new releases. I think there's some stuff that's coming out that seems really exciting and really cool, and I think there's other stuff coming out not exciting nor cool, and it's stupid. So let's talk about it. This video is probably going to be a little bit longer because I know there's a lot of things to cover, and I want to give you guys kind of just my full opinion on everything. So I'm going to go through trend mood. I'm going to be going through trend mood and just kind of talking about new things and seeing. I'm gonna put pictures right here. It's just the same, you know what it is. A bunch of people do these videos. Let's just do it. Here's mine. So the first thing I want to talk about is this new highlighter palette from Too Faced. This is called the Triple Scoop highlighter palette, and it's just 3 shades. It's ice cream themed. I do think it's cute that they stayed so on brand with this one. For example, it's supposed to be like Neapolitan ice cream. So it's got a white shade, a pinky shade, and a more bronzy shade, which is like the theme of Neapolitan ice cream. So I appreciate that they're at least on brand. I do think this is cool because I think it would work for a lot of different skin tones, which is not something we see a ton from Too Faced. They're not the most inclusive brand. They're not horrible, but they're not like amazing at it either. And I think it's cool that a lot of these shades I could see working for a lot of different people, which I appreciate. $42. It does smell like ice cream, which is cute, but all of Too Faced things, that's like a given at this point. Like, we know it's gonna smell like something, it's Too Faced. I do think the $42 price tag, just a little bit excessive. I think even if they had marked it at like a $35 price point, I would have thought that was a lot more reasonable. But for $42, I don't think this is like groundbreaking. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit over highlighting palettes, unless they're like face palettes that have like a blush or just because I have a lot of different shades of highlighters, I don't really need all 3 of these shades in a palette. Realistically, the pink one and the deeper one, the white one might even be too white for me. The pink one would be a really good shade, and the deeper one is going to be just a little bit too deep for me. So while I think it's good that they have something like this, because as a brand, I don't think they have any highlighting palettes like this. No, I don't think Too Faced has any highlighting palettes like this, whereas you have a brand like ABH that has the glow kits of like all different colors, and even Hutta has like a ton of different glow kits. So it's good for their brand, and I think if you love Too Faced highlighter formula, I'm personally not a fan. I've tried their Love Light highlighters and their Candlelight Glow highlighters, and I wasn't like super obsessed with any of those. I just had lipstick on my teeth. So if you saw that, it's gone now. So as far as that goes, I'm not super interested in this, but I think people were kind of like being really nasty about this, and I actually don't think it's a horrible concept. I don't think it's a horrible idea. I think it's just not, it's a little overpriced, and it's not personally something I'm going to buy. For me. Anastasia Beverly Hills came out with the Alyssa Edwards palette, which I think in theory is a really cool idea. I'm loving that brands are collaborating not only with just your standard beauty gurus, as you would call them, like the same 5 people that it seems like always have some sort of collab coming out. I think this is a cool idea to have someone different and someone who also has a crazy like extra personality. I think that's very cool. However, so I do think this palette is quite beautiful, and I do love that ABH is playing more with color now, because I love their normal formula of their neutrals, and I've really liked them in color. This is a prime example. The Riviera palette is a prime example of an ABH palette that was very colorful that I enjoyed. I just look at this and think it is way too similar to this. Like, do you know what I mean? I wish they had spaced these collabs out a little. I'm the person that buys like all the ABH palettes. I love ABH palettes. I wouldn't say I'm a collector, but I do typically buy whatever they put out when it comes to palettes because I just love them. I'm not picking this one up, and I wish I would have had it come out maybe at a different time. I kind of wish they had done like Riviera and then done something else for summer, and then maybe waited on this palette because they're just too similar to justify getting both. Especially since I just got this one and have like just started using it and playing with it. It feels a little too similar for me, but I'm a little annoyed at the colors, the Supreme and HOE. And also kind of annoyed with back rolls, those brown colors. Just make it, I just wish ABH would like dive off the deep end, and this was the perfect person to do it with. Just go all color. Like, just don't put those neutrals in there, because that's kind of how this palette is. You still have your neutrals with like pops of color, you know what I mean? Whereas this palette, since they already did that, they have a colorful palette with neutrals for the people that want that. This could have been something very niche and very just full on dive off the deep end, no browns, like just color. I think that would have been cool. However, I do think this is a pretty palette and I'll be interested to see reviews. It's just not something that I am going to need nor pick up. All right, the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. I actually am really debating getting this. It's on my list. This is on my list of things that I would really love to get. This is something I really enjoy. I think it looks beautiful. The color story is really pretty. I think you could pair it really well with the Sunset palette if you have that one. I think that's cool. The thing I really like about this is not only are the colors very pretty, they're a little bit different neutrally. Like, it's still a pretty neutral palette. It's a pretty everyday palette, but it has those pops of colors so you could make it very summery. It is a very summery palette and I really like that. The other thing I like about this palette is that because it's smaller, it still has a ton of shades, unlike her little 5-pan ones that are like so small and so expensive. This one still has a lot of different shades, but the pans are smaller and she made it cheaper. Her normal eyeshadow palettes that have this many eyeshadows in them are $129, which is what deters a lot of people from Natasha Denona, because that is ridiculous. Like, that's a lot of money. That's way too much money. Whereas this one is only $65. Not only, that's so expensive. $65 is still a lot, but in comparison to her other palettes, this is a pretty good deal. I'm really considering getting this one. I think it would be a really fun addition to the palettes that I already have. I'm also interested to see if, because it's cheaper, the formula is any less good. I've always liked Natasha Denona's formula. I think her shimmers are almost unmatched. Like, they're really stunning. And I think the mattes blend really easily and nicely, which is a big appeal to her. So I'm interested to see if, because I was shocked. I thought this price point was going to be like $85. Like $65, that's like a Hutta palette. That's like a more reasonable type of higher end palette when normally her palettes are so like luxury. So I'm interested to see how this one performs and how it works. And I do really enjoy the color story. That is such a pretty color story. I like the different yellow tones. I like the purples. I like the pinks. I love the oranges. Like, I really like this one. Okay, so Hutta is coming out with the Huda Beauty Neon Obsessions. So they're basically like her other Obsessions palettes, but they're neon. Packaging is different, which I think is cool. I think when you have a different type, like when you have a set collection like she does with the Obsession palettes, when you do something so different like with neon, I think it's cool to change up the packaging to have that distinction between like the normal and the new. Hutta's packaging always seems to be very modern. She keeps it pretty fresh and relevant, which I think is really cool. Neon is very in right now, as far as I'm aware. I've seen a lot of people wearing neon stuff just everywhere. Everybody seems to love neon now. So I think coming out with a palette like that and not only having the colors on the inside be like that, but having the packaging be neon is cool. I see why she discontinued the Coral Obsessions. I bought it right before it got discontinued, but because this one, the like orangier one, looks a lot like Coral Obsessions. It's, except for that like lime green. Coral Obsessions is pretty similar, so I think if you have the Coral Obsessions one, you wouldn't need this. I think these are cool. I think the idea of the smaller palettes is a cute idea, and the formula from the one I have is great. Like, it's a really good palette. I don't think I'm gonna pick any of these particularly up because the pink one, like, I kind of like, but I just bought the September Rose Cosmetics Slush palette that has pretty much all of these colors except in one palette. So I don't really need any more like neon-y colors. I don't wear neon enough to justify it, but I do think this is a cool idea. I think it's trendy. It's a trendy idea, and I think it's kind of a neat, cute little thing. I think having concise little things is cool. I also like the Obsessions palettes, just all of them in general, because I think it provides a way to have color without going out and buying a big full spectrum color palette. Like, if you just want to start playing with blues and greens, you can go get like a blue and green one. And it's a small, compact, doesn't take up a lot of space, so if you just want to play around with color, you don't have to buy this big huge like blue palette. You know what I mean? I think this is cool. Okay, I almost bought this and I actually still might buy this. This is the Blue Moon eyeshadow palette. This is the same thing that I'm thinking about with Hutta, where I love that ColourPop, besides the Sol and Mar palettes, because those are not monochromatic palettes, but I'm loving the most recently, they're putting out all of these monochromatic palettes. Like they did Just My Luck, they did Ooh La La, It's My Pleasure. Now they're doing the blue one, the Blue Moon, and they came out with a strawberry watermelon one, which I didn't like the watermelon one. I just have so many reds already. I don't need it. Like I just don't need it. It was cute and the packaging was really cute and I thought like all of that, but I just don't need more red toned eyeshadow palettes because I have a lot. So personally, I didn't need that one. This blue one, however, I think is so cute. I love the variations of blue, how well they did it. Like I love that it's a very good variation from light to dark to more vibrant to silvers. I love that they put in a silver because silver glitter and blue is like a dream. It's so pretty. I actually don't have a ton of blue eyeshadow because I kind of steer away from it a little bit. But I used to feel that way about green, and now that I've been pushing myself to wear green a little bit more, I actually love how green looks on me. And I'm thinking maybe the same thing could happen with the blue. So I definitely would be really interested in trying out this blue palette. And with ColourPop, the price is just so right. It's so affordable, such quality good makeup. Like I used the Ooh La La palette today on my eyes and I just love how it turns out. Like the quality is there, the gradient is there, the packaging is cute, it's small and compact so you don't have to have a big huge blue palette lying around. And I actually still am debating going back and forth. All right, let's just talk about Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, shall we? Cause like, geez. So Jaclyn Hill finally released her makeup line. Jaclyn Cosmetics is the name, and nude lipsticks are her game. I'm not gonna lie. The second I saw that she was doing lipsticks, I knew it was gonna be nudes. Jaclyn is very known for loving nude lipsticks and wearing a lot of nude lipsticks. So I didn't think she was gonna come out with a sort of full spectrum of lipstick shades. I figured they would be nudes. I didn't expect her to come out with 20 lipsticks, which is a pretty impressive size for a very first launch. And I do think the variance between the nudes were pretty substantial. I watched her Instagram live where she like swatched, I watched half of it, I got bored, but I watched her Instagram live where she swatched every single one. And from what I could see, a lot of them did have a different variant of nude. I did think it was cool that she tried to include like a nude shade for any color of skin. I've seen some people say she did a really good job with it. I've seen other people say she missed the mark. To me, it looked like a really good variant of nude. I think anything Jaclyn Hill does is gonna get a lot of criticism. I think she's gonna be under a microscope, and I think that's because of all the kind of scandals she's had in the past with products. It was like the Becca eyeshadow palette was the first, the Vault collection went horribly wrong. But I think along with that, what I try to remember about Jaclyn is even though she has had some like faux pas when it comes to releasing products and stuff like that, but the Jaclyn Hill actual palette, like the original, that was sold amazing. There was like really not a lot of issues with that actual palette. The formula was good. I really enjoy the palette. I still have it and thoroughly enjoy it to this day. And Champagne Pop that she did with Becca, her first like big collab, I mean, they still sell that. Like that was extremely successful. It's literally what put her and Becca really on the map as far as I'm concerned. So even though she's had a few launches that were bad, she's had a few launches that are good. Personally, my opinion on just Jaclyn Cosmetics as a whole, I almost did buy a couple of the lipsticks just to try them out. I did think they were a tad expensive for what I pay for a bullet lipstick, but that's just because I'm like, don't like spending a lot of money on lipsticks. So I thought $18 seemed a little crazy for me, especially because a lot of the nudes you could definitely find in Maybelline's line. Like, I don't know if the formula is the same, but you could definitely find similar shades from Maybelline. But I did think they looked pretty, so I was gonna buy some just to try it out to see and like let you guys know. They sold out quick. By the time I got on the website, the shades that I had wanted were gone. And so I was just like, well, I know there's been some like issues with people, the shipping's been a problem, customer service has been kind of weird. And I think that's to be expected with a new brand, but I also think because it's Jaclyn, if I were her, I would have had that on lock. Like I would have made sure there were no problems with emails getting sent out, with shipping, with customer service. I would have done basically anything to make sure that like that was all handled, because like she's gonna get a lot of criticism. She had to have known that going into this. But I am excited to see what she has going forward. I will say I hope she doesn't wait another like year to put out a product. Like I hope she has stuff on deck just ready to go, because I think she waited a long time to do this. And I think there are still going to be people that support her, and she sold out, so obviously it went well. But I do think if she keeps waiting so long, people are going to lose interest, because honestly, a lot of people who have been like her true fans have been waiting for 5 years and got 20 nude lipsticks, which I can understand being upset about. Like I can understand that not being what you wanted. So I do hope that when she puts out more, it's in a timely fashion, and she does releases at a very like like a normal rate, and not everything is like this big long crazy process. I think it's okay for brands to sometimes just have something and put it out, and it didn't need to be this like 5-year labor of love that Jaclyn seems to think everything needs to be. But overall, I'm excited to see where the brand goes. I liked the packaging. I thought the components were cute. I actually liked the photo shoot stuff that she put out of her on that like diamond. I know it's tacky, and I totally agree that it was tacky, but I thought it was cute. Like it's very on brand for Jaclyn. And overall, I'm just hoping this is successful for her, and that, you know, she puts out stuff that I find more interesting in the future, because I wasn't super interested in the lipsticks, but hoping she'll put out stuff. I do think her quality of products is going to be good though. I feel like she knows makeup. So unless she just is doing this purely for money and not to have a prolonged successful brand, I can't see why the formula wouldn't be up to par, because I feel like she is really picky about her makeup. That's one thing. I believe that. Let's just talk about skincare brands for a second, because there's two that I really want to talk about. Too Faced is launching its own skincare line, and Kylie Cosmetics is launching its own skincare line. I know people have already really torn Kylie Cosmetics to shreds, and honestly, all I have to say is that I completely agree with what people are saying about this. There is no way she uses this stuff. Even though it's on the more affordable end as far as skincare goes, it doesn't seem like it has any like amazingly awesome ingredients in it that are like life-changing and fantastic. It does seem really basic, just even from the packaging to the ingredients. Everything is very basic, and I just think it's another way for her to continue making money, which is what Kylie Cosmetics has pretty much always. I say this as I'm wearing a Kylie Cosmetics lip kit. I used to be like big into it, okay? Kylie's brand has always kind of just been, you're buying it for Kylie, and I think this is no exception. I think the skincare aspect of it is the same as her actual brand is. There's not going to be a ton of quality control. There's still no freaking return policy on the brand, which is absolutely bonkers, because you can't try this stuff in store, so you can't even get a sample to make sure it's not going to break you out. So some people are spending $125 on the entire set, and it could potentially break them out and give them horrible rashes, and they would have no grounds to return it, which pisses me off to no end. But I'm kind of over the Kylie skin thing. The other thing is, I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this, is Too Faced coming out with a skincare line. It's like going to be an extension of their Hangover RX brand that they got going, how they have like the Hangover RX spray, and they have like the primer and all of that. I don't know. I mean, I just wish brands wouldn't treat skincare like makeup, because they're very different. While makeup does go on your face and like the ingredients of makeup are important, it's a lot easier to make makeup, I think, than it would be to formulate good skincare. And I feel like brands are kind of willy-nilly just putting out like serums and eye creams and all of this stuff that could potentially really like hurt people. Like, I feel like skincare can hurt people. I feel like I've burned my face using certain skincare products. Granted, I have like semi-sensitive skin, but still, I wish it would be more of a like, just leave it to the skincare brands that's their main focus and their main priority is to make sure you don't burn your face. Hi, it's your girl. Something I forgot to mention that I do feel is important and a good point is that Too Faced can't even consistently put out like good makeup. Like their makeup is hit or miss. So when you have something like skincare, I don't know if you can trust them to put out like quality stuff every time because of how hit or miss all of their products are. Like why don't you focus on making your makeup brand good first and then go on to the skincare stuff? You know what I mean? Just the thought. Okay, thank you. I'm over brands that are makeup brands coming out with skincare products because it just seems like a really big gimmick to me, and I'm just not a fan of that. Okay, this I'm so excited for, and I more just wanted to like let you guys know this is happening. I love the Kaja bento boxes that are entirely shimmer. I have 3 of them. I use them all the time, and I really truly do love them. And they're coming out with triples? What's the word for 3? Duo, trio. Coming out with new trios that are going to be 3 shades. 2 of the shades are matte and there's 1 shimmer, so it's basically like a little thingy that I think would be really good for travel. And I am gonna pick up 2 of these. There's 2 shades that I'm obsessed with and I just cannot wait to get my hands on. I think this would be really good, especially there's 2 that are a little bit more neutral. I think those would be really good for people who work a lot and like work full time and just want to have something that's like a really basic everyday type eye look that they could throw something in the crease, throw it at something in the outer corner to deepen it out, and just put a shimmer over the top and be done. I think that would be great for this. And I do think the price point is a little pricey. I liked I wish they had made these a little cheaper, I'm not gonna lie. Because the $21 for the shimmers, I could justify because they were transformative, they were different, they were super, super blinding and sparkly and pretty. So I could justify the $21 price point. Whereas with this, those mattes are not going to be like transformative and life-changing and all of these things. Kind of wish they had priced it in like the $18 range. I know it's only $3, but to me it makes a difference, okay? I kind of wish they had priced it a little bit cheaper just because they're not as transformative. They're not as like crazy as the just pure shimmers. I do still think this is a cute idea though. I've seen a lot of their stuff at Sephora and it seems really interesting. So I think this is something, if you were wondering about the shimmers but you didn't feel like you needed an entire stack of shimmers, this is a way for you to also try out their matte formula and try out their shimmer formula, which I think is really cool. All right, the gloss. Let's talk about the glosses from Jeffree Star. I know everybody has talked about these and I know like all of this stuff. And I know if you watch my channel, I'm not saying this to be a jerk. I'm just telling if you hear this a million times, I'm just telling the new people that don't watch me a lot. I'm not a huge fan of Jeffree Star. He's not my favorite person. So what I'm saying could have a tinge of bias to it, just so you're aware. However, objectively speaking, as objective as I can be, I think this is really just not good. I think one of the things I've always said about Jeffree Star Cosmetics is that even though I don't love the person behind the brand, their actual cosmetics like holds up. Like I have some of the lipsticks and I used to have the highlighters. I since decluttered those, but the highlighters were really good and the lipstick formula is fantastic. Like what I have tried and reviews I have seen on his stuff is good. It's really good, a lot of it. I know there's been a couple of misses, like I know the lip liners were pretty bad, but for the most part, his stuff is really good. Something as simple, well, I guess I wouldn't know because I don't formulate makeup, but glosses seem like they would be pretty easy and simple to create. And they don't look good. They just don't. They don't look good. There's a few, I know he has 2 different formulas. One is just like a glossy gloss and one is like a shimmery gloss. And I think there was maybe 2 that I saw that I was like, that looks okay. The lip swatches are what got me because the lip swatches are just bad. I cannot believe anyone on his marketing team, or him even, approved those lip swatches being put out by them because those lip swatches were bad. They looked dry, they looked cracky, they looked cakey and crumbly. Like they didn't look good. They didn't look like how a gloss is supposed to look on your lips. They didn't shine at all. It just looked dry. And I think the other thing too is, I get that he's always tried to do things that are a little bit like edgier, but the black gloss, if you're gonna make a black lip gloss, I really wish it had been black because all of the swatches and all of the lip swatches I've seen, it just looks brown. Looks like a dark brown. And I think if you're gonna do something that crazy and that extra and something that people would wear as like a power statement, it shouldn't look like poop. I don't know why I get scared to say that word, but that's kind of what it looks like. And I wish it was just truly like a deep pigmented black lip gloss if that's what he was gonna do, because I think there are some people that would rock that and love that. But as I see it, it looks like poop. So I didn't like that one. And some of the other crazy colors he did, like the blue one, it just looked bad. It just didn't look good. I cannot think of a skin tone that frosty blue lip gloss would work on unless you were trying to, again, to like make a statement or you had something underneath it. So overall, I was not a fan. I also am not a fan of the packaging, the way his packaging is going. Again, this is like just me, but I'm not a fan of the whole like Sailor Moon vibe he's starting to go for. I think before, some of his packaging definitely was kind of cool, and I think he's had cool ideas and cool designs. But this new aesthetic of like, honestly, I just think it looks tacky, but this new aesthetic of this type of packaging where he's had this with the concealers and other glosses, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Melt Cosmetics is coming out with the Melt Impulsive eyeshadow palette. I'm not gonna buy this, not my thing, just not something I'm super interested in. It's colors I have, it's not something like groundbreaking or that exciting. I do think the shimmers look kind of good, but I've never tried Melt shimmers and I've never heard anyone like rave about their shimmers. The only thing I have from Melt is one of their stacks. I have the Rust stack, which is all matte. And I've never heard anything crazy amazing about their shimmers. I'm sure the price point is going to be pretty expensive because it's Melt and their stuff is typically pretty expensive, but I agree with a lot of people saying that it gives them kind of Urban Decay vibes. I think this is what Urban Decay wishes they could be again, because I feel like Urban Decay is going through a phase where they just don't know what they're doing. And I think Melt is kind of, I agree with a lot of what I've seen where Melt is kind of taking the place of Urban Decay, being a little bit edgy with like their pot stuff, and I'm so lame. Being a little bit more edgy with their things that they're coming out with. This stuff is interesting and kind of cool. It's got some cool stuff to it. The packaging is a little bit more different and interesting. I do think the concept itself is like a cool concept. Like, I think the concept of it is cool. I think the colors are cool. I think you have a good variant of different looks that you could create with this palette. It's not really a one-trick pony kind of palette. So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I have no complaints about that one. Not something I'm interested in, but like, I think it's a cool palette. Dominique Cosmetics came out with a highlighter palette, and I'm not gonna lie, I do not like this at all. And I will talk about her palette in a second, but as far as the highlighter palette goes, I was a little surprised she did something so basic. Like, there's not really any cool, crazy shades in here. I hate the wasted space. I wish she had just made the packaging with the same, you know, sparkles and the emblem and the same type of vibe, like the Geo vibe, without making it whatever. Is this an octagon, a hexagon? I don't know what shape it is, but without making it that shape, I wish she had done the same type of packaging as a square, so there wasn't so much empty space. Palettes with empty space, number one, they bother me for environmental reasons because it just seems wasteful and pointless, and number two, I just don't fully understand like how that's gonna store well. I have to think about my storage, I guess, because I have like the IKEA Alex drawers, but as far as storage, like, awkward shaped palettes are just inherently annoying to store, and I think this is no exception. I think this is something that would be very annoying to store. Pretty basic colors. If you have pretty much any of the ABH Glow kits, you really wouldn't need this. If you have any of like the Wet n Wilds, oh, that's a controversial brand. But if you have them already, Wet n Wild, man, they screwed up. Like, holy crap. Even if they're like, I know they're claiming they're still cruelty free, and there's like this whole debate about what even is cruelty free. That's, apparently it's a very subjective term. Even if they didn't, like, oh my god, why would you lie about being sold in China? Like, why would you not just tell people that? Like, I don't understand the not telling people part, like the not informing people part. At least NARS like knew they were doing something and then did it, you know what I mean? Like, at least they told everyone they were doing it. Wet n Wild, man. But anyway, if you own any of the, if you want to know about that, just like Google it. It's all over the place, but I don't have enough, I'm not well informed enough anymore to like talk about it. But if you have any of the Wet n Wild highlighters, you really wouldn't need this. There's a lot of different highlighters that look just like these ones that are in way less wasteful packaging and are just fine for what you have. And she also did release a palette. This is called the Rustic Glam palette. To her credit, I do find Kristen Dominique's palettes to be incredibly interesting. She's putting out color stories and color themes that I don't see a lot of people doing. Like, I think they're all pretty unique and cool. I don't look at her palettes, just her whole line, except maybe with the Latte palette. Like, you could probably find a dupe for that one, but a lot of her palettes, for the most part, I don't look at this and immediately think, oh, this looks like XYZ, which, to be honest, is kind of its own cool thing. Like, that's kind of credit where credit is due. Because we have so many makeup products that are out now, it's kind of hard to look at new makeup and not compare it to a makeup product that already exists. Your mind kind of goes to what else has been made that looks like this. And when I look at her palettes, I don't get that vibe. I'm not like, oh, this is just kind of the same color story as this palette. You know what I mean? I think it's cool. I don't think I'm gonna particularly pick up this one, only because it's just not something I particularly need. It's just not. I think it's cool, not something I really need, but I can attest that if this is the same as the Berries and Cream formula, which it is the same packaging style, I think this is gonna be a really good palette. The Berries and Cream palette from Jaclyn Cosmetics is so good. It was one of my like probably top like 10 palettes from last year. It was such a good palette, and it still is. I love it, and I think it's great. But this one, I wish maybe had a little bit more cohesion to it. It is a little all over the place. I kind of wish instead of, even if she'd just replaced a couple of colors, I think it would have looked a little bit more cohesive. So it's not like calling my name, but I do think it's a cool palette, and I appreciate Jaclyn Cosmetics for being different, and I also appreciate her for being a beauty guru brand that doesn't necessarily feel like a beauty guru brand. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does, but whatever. Okay, the final thing I want to talk about is the new Morphe collection, the Pride Live-In Color collection. It comes with brushes. I don't even care about the brushes. The Morphe brushes and the sets are bad. Just don't buy them. Okay, they're like one of their biggest selling palettes was the James Charles palette. Like, say what you will about whatever. James Charles palette sold millions. Most people who shop from Morphe probably bought that palette. Like, a lot of them probably did. So why, it's the same thing I felt with Anastasia. Why would you immediately after that come out with a palette that is literally the bottom half of the James Charles palette, just in its own palette? Like, I don't need this because it's not like a colorful palette's like, you don't really, unless you do color like crazy, I think it's more about like trying different formulas. That's why I buy different types of colorful palettes from different brands, because I like to try different formulas. I don't even need this palette because like I have these colors in Morphe's formula already. I own them. They're in a palette that I already own. This is just the same exact thing as that. I think Morphe was really trying to capitalize off of Pride Month, and while I do commend them and love, all of the net proceeds do go to the Trevor Project. I think that is amazing, and I love that. So while I appreciate that, I still wish that even if they were gonna do something rainbow for Pride Month, that they had at least done something that wasn't literally the James Charles palette. Like, all of these colors, I'm like, oh, there's Social Blade, there's the one that stained Cody Rand's eyes and was like this big deal, there's this color, like there's, you know, Brother, like whatever, like it's the same exact colors, and I find that really to be kind of weird. It's like a weird move from them. I do think it's at least cool that it's in a different type of packaging than their normal packaging, but I think that's because, again, this is also like they had the 35B, they have the James Charles palette, like they didn't need another rainbow palette like this. What I actually think would have been better, to be perfectly honest, a better PR move for James and just better in general, was had they donated 100% of the net proceeds to all of the James Charles palettes sold in June, the Trevor Project. I think that would have been more beneficial than coming out with this whole new palette that is the same as that one and has no differences. You know what I mean? I feel like the James Charles palette probably is still selling a very large amount of palettes every day, and I think that would have provided even more money for charity without having to go through this whole process of creating this whole palette that's like the same thing. Friends, this has been like the longest new products video, but I hope I kind of talked to you guys about the things you wanted to hear about. Let me know down below any new products that you are excited about, or products you're just like over, or what the tea is with you, because I'm definitely interested. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, or just like, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're here watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything that I'm wearing on my face will be linked down below. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!